Yeah, I think that we have been tracking the progress of WiMAX deployment globally, and we were announced today that WiMAX is covering about 600 million people. And in the past, to achieve more than 800 million covered by the end of 2010, and by next year to 1 billion people. So I think we are excited. One of the fundamental things to show progress of WiMAX technology and deployment commercial is happening globally. From that in this very fast space.
UMTS Forum, with the help of Analysis Mason, we had published a report in 2006 telling that by the end of 2015 there would be something like 400 million LTE subscribers in the world. So I think recently IDAT made an LTE report stating this range of customers, so let's keep this range for the moment.
I think so far has been the case that if you have a WiMAX spectrum, TDD 2.3, 2.5, 3.5 gigahertz, they're using WiMAX. LTE has been 700 megahertz ecosystem development, FDD, so from that level. Down the road, I think there would be some bands that could be used for both, but today there are separate ecosystem, separate infrastructure, and operators basically trying to take the spectrum that they have. There is not that much spectrum that is today overlapping between the two technologies.
I think for the emerging markets, whether it be, for instance, in Brazil, or whether it be in India, for instance, we have conveyed and we are conveying a message to protect, to secure the 3G extension band 2.5, 2.7 gigahertz for the good use of LTE, and it would be damageable that this band be preempted by other technologies, for instance in Brazil MMDS for TV, or only, let's say, WiMAX mobile only and not LTE. We think it's important. This band was dedicated to IMT 2000 extension, and I think it's important that all IMT 2000 technologies, including of course LTE, could benefit from the entire band.
I think what we'll see is, well, let's start quickly where we are today. We see HSPA today deployed in commercial in all of the world's cellular bands. That's where we are today. Operators have the opportunity to evolve with HSPA Plus and the evolution we talked about a little bit further. LTE is most likely going to appear initially in the 700 band in the Americas, or perhaps extending throughout the Americas. We won't see that band in Europe initially. We will see what we term 800, but that will come only when the TV transition from analog to digital has been completed, and that won't be completed in all markets until 2012. There is an opportunity, I think, for some operators, especially those holding the higher frequency range of 1800 as opposed to 900, if they have sufficient capacity, some of them may well be looking at deploying LTE in 1800. However, I do believe that the main global band will be 2.6 and 700, 800.
Yes, Rafael, it's a good question. Indeed, it shows that thanks to the evolutionary and compatibility full roadmap of 3GPP with the UMTS family going to LTE and LTE Advanced, the operators will have the possibility, depending on their own strategy, to deploy earlier or later. And for instance, some operators beginning from scratch or coming from CDMA 2000, like Verizon, for instance, turning to LTE, will be able to deploy, will have chosen to deploy earlier. Other operators, for instance, the big operators in Europe, such as Orange and Vodafone, will certainly optimize better their legacy 3G, 3G+, HSPA, HSPA Plus network in order to deploy, perhaps rather in 2012 rather than in 2010, LTE with a more mature ecosystem and terminals, for instance. But it will not jeopardize the technology. It's a question of own strategy from the operators. But the evolutionary and compatible roadmap of 3GPP will enable that.
Well, what we've seen with the mobile broadband so far has been huge success with HSPA. And what that's doing is creating more traffic growth for the operators and a demand to support more customers. How that's translating today is that more operators are finding that HSPA Plus is helping them deal with that traffic growth and reduce their cost. I can tell you that from today, according to our research, there are now something in the region of 80 operators who've committed to deploy HSPA Plus. Indeed, 41 of those have now launched. 36 of them are 21 megabits per second, but 5 are already 28. And we've heard announcements this week from Telstra and others that they plan to evolve their HSPA Plus to 42 megabits per second sometime during this year, and the evolution will continue. So I think HSPA and HSPA Plus is proving to be, if you like, the workhorse now for mobile broadband. I think by the end of the year we could see 100 or so operators launched across the world. That will make it mainstream. LTE in the initial phases will have a similar performance. LTE will come into its own a little bit beyond that, especially when the spectrum, the additional spectrum, becomes available. But until then, we will see HSPA Plus being a very key technology for operators across the world.
I think that it is a question that people ask us, and the truth is that the next 3 years, WiMAX volume is bigger than LTE. So I'm not sure who is going to benefit. The benefit comes to LTE. But the truth is correct. From a device side, OFDM is similar and like this. So I hope that we can benefit. The idea is at the end of the day, we want to get affordable broadband. From WiMAX forum point of view, we do not see any competition. This is LTE versus WiMAX. If LTE can help WiMAX or WiMAX can help LTE, is good. The key is the biggest difference between us is the ecosystem. Having a computer industry, chipset that are designed with Wi-Fi, WiMAX, multi-mode, and make it really low cost for consumer at the end of the day. The smartphones are already happening for the last 6 months. We already have in Russia a 3G plus WiMAX and Wi-Fi phone. In Korea for the last 1 year they have had a CDMA plus WiMAX. HTC Taiwanese are putting into this multi-screen WiMAX and Wi-Fi. So from that's one of the beauty of WiMAX over the last 6 months. The ecosystem of devices has matured such that you are getting a lot of integration. So there is no more doubt and question regarding will it be happening. The only issue is what are the volumes, how much more integration, and what new things will happen. And people are asking us, when will iPad come with WiMAX, when these new things are coming? The smartphones are the past issues.